Hey, Dave Brother here, and in this video I want to talk to you about your massive competitive advantage against companies that are much bigger than you. Now, for this particular video, I'm going to use an e-commerce example and one of the biggest companies on the planet right here to illustrate quite a poignant example of small fry businesses who could be easily blown out of the water, and give you a few examples of how this has happened in the past. Now, this whole concept will apply to you even if you're not in e-commerce. If you're in any other kind of niche, there's always going to be companies and businesses that are bigger than you, that have bigger pockets, have deeper pockets, have more capital to spend on ads, and they have that competitive advantage over you. So that's not somewhere that you can compete. However, there is a big competitive advantage which begins with a P, which I'll get to in just a second. Now, just to give you a very poignant example of Amazon, and how they can do this and how kind of ruthless they are in the marketplace. There's different ways of looking at this, and if you watch interviews with Jeff Bezos, it's really actually quite interesting. His whole take on it is that Amazon are in the game of innovation, and they are able to be quite agile because they split their company up into so many different pieces and try so many different things. So in one sense, they're a really good business and company to look to in terms of how to operate and how to innovate and how to create products and test and be amazing at customer service. All those things are fantastic, and we can glean some really, really great lessons from what is quite an admirable company, really. But there is kind of the darker side to Amazon as well. Amazon, the way it works is largely a marketplace in recent years, where you can be a merchant within their marketplace, and you can sell your products, whether you send it to them and they distribute it for you. That's called Amazon FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, I think that refers to. Or alternatively, you can also fulfill it yourself. So you kind of list your products as a business on Amazon, and when they sell, then you ship it yourself. So there's two different ways of doing it. But Amazon have got a reputation for being quite ruthless. So when they see something that works, they will completely blow you out of the water. So say, for example, you came up with an idea for a new kind of toothbrush, something like a disposable item, which is a really good selling strategy on something like Amazon, because generally consumable goods sell really well as opposed to kind of niche items. So for an example of this, a few years ago, there was a nappy business that were doing subscription nappies through Amazon, and they started doing really, really well. Now, obviously, Amazon can see the back end of this business, and they can see exactly what they're doing in terms of sales because it's on their platform. They see that they're doing really well, and they say, hey, we can be more profitable if we just start doing this ourselves. So I'm led to believe, and I don't know the ins and outs of this, and I'm sure nobody really does, but Amazon offered to buy this business out. It was like a mum and pop business. They offered to buy them out, and the owners of this business refused. They said, no, we want to carry on doing this ourselves. It's very profitable. We enjoy doing it. We don't want to sell to you. So Amazon didn't take this nicely, and they decided whether they took it nicely or not, they had a bunch of people in a boardroom that decided it would be more profitable to undercut them, so make their prices cheaper and provide the same service on their own platform, and basically put these people out of business. So that's pretty ruthless, right? That's pretty terrible. Now, in terms of Jeff Bezos' answer to why this is and why they do this kind of thing, it's mixed and varied. And I'd definitely encourage you to go and do some watching on YouTube, see some of the interviews that he gives. He gives quite a lot of interviews about how their business operates and why they do this kind of thing. But regardless of that, as a vendor, if this is you, that's a very dangerous situation to be in. To put you out of business overnight, to have no business, to have your family completely left in the lurch, and it could really be quite damaging. So how can you start to overcome these kind of problems? And if you're an Amazon seller, or if you're any kind of seller or competing with any kind of bigger business, what do you have that they don't? Well, the answer is, and the answer can only be this. Personality. So the way Amazon works and the way these bigger businesses work are generally commodity based. They're generally the way they work, the reason they work so well, the reason they're so profitable is because they've been able to put systems in place which make them robust, but also make it very difficult to be agile. Now, Amazon are in a sense agile, but at a kind of higher business level, because they're able to create services like AWS, Amazon Web Services, which now runs half the web. And they're able to do lots of different business niches. So, for example, stuff like buy Whole Foods. But they're kind of, it's like a spider web business model that they've got going into lots of different niches. But in terms of our level of selling one product or selling our services or products, then the one way that you're ever going to be able to compete with these people is personality. Because it's very difficult for Amazon to have a personality. They're so big. The nearest thing that you could see to them having a personality or an attractive character, as it's often referred to in direct response marketing, is someone like Jeff Bezos. Now, how easy is it for an audience to relate to a guy, the richest person on the planet, who earns more in a second than they do in 5 to 10 years? So it's absolutely impossible for that to happen. So therefore they have to revert to Amazon being the face of Amazon, the personality of Amazon being the brand. It's a lot more difficult. In terms of how people buy on their platform as well, it's very much a listing based. So people go, they search for what they want, they find things ranked, and they find the most relevant products, and it's very it's extremely effective, don't get me wrong, it's extremely effective, extremely profitable. And for the people who manage to master the whole merchant thing properly, then it can be very, very powerful. I know a few people who do and make millions of dollars every year on Amazon just selling their products through them. But in terms of you, and in terms of avoiding these things, and in terms of creating a business which is robust and is not impenetrable, but kind of watertight to issues like this that are being taken out, it really needs to rely on you having a personality, on people building a relationship with you. So how do you start to do that? Well, for a start, I mean, it's certainly worth, if you are selling on Amazon, if you are competing in these kind of marketplaces, making sure that you've got your bases covered, making sure that you're not selling in just one place, and that you're building your own list elsewhere as well. You know, not too long ago, I came into a sort of a community of people who'd been advertising their products on a website, a marketplace in the UK called Not on the High Street, which was going really well for them for a long time. They basically had stores within this marketplace where they got basically free traffic. People were searching this website, had so much traffic, and they were investing in getting this traffic, investing in getting people to their website to buy stuff from their merchants, and then they would take a percentage from their merchants. It was great. But for whatever reason, the website themselves, Not on the High Street, started to suffer. They stopped paying for ads. They stopped paying for ads to send them directly to the merchants. And suddenly these merchants whose entire businesses, their entire livelihoods had relied on that traffic, completely cut off, and they were left in the lurch. So I and another business partner of mine at the time, we were helping these guys and girls actually get set up with Facebook ads and their own marketplaces and funnels, so that they can start building a personality with people. They can start building their own storefronts and their own stories, and really building those relationships with their customers. You know, just to kind of bring this full circle, a lot of the time people, when they're looking for sales, they're looking for those front end sales. And we're going to cover this a lot more in videos going forward, how, you know, it's not just the front end sales that you should be looking for. Front end sales are a way of acquiring customers. But in reality, over time, the longer you nurture these customers, the more they come to know, like, and trust you, the more they see your personality as a business, or if you're if you're the face of your business and they're building a relationship with you, then the more money that they will spend over time. That's how you'll compete with Amazon. The kind of customers that you find on Amazon are always the people who are looking for the cheapest price. It's always a race to the bottom. And as the now late, great Dan Kennedy would always say, there's no strategic advantage to being the cheapest person in town. There is a huge strategic advantage to being the most expensive price person in town. So basically what that means in context is, if you're going to sell on Amazon and you're listing your product for $10, and somebody else comes in and lists that same product for $9.99, who do you think is going to make that sale? Even though it's just a fraction, it's just 1 cent difference. The kind of people who browse Amazon, the kind of people who are on Amazon, are looking for the cheapest price for the product that they want. The only way you'll ever get out of that is to develop your own list with your own personality and develop your own brand personality.